Now,
Oh,
Nick,
yes.
this is how we're starting the show.
Now we're calling Sean.
This is how we're shutting the show.
Okay.
He's running around in circles. Yell, Sean.
Ethan is really into lo-fi remixes.
Yep.
Oh my god. Oh god.
All right, I'm gonna spare you
Now we're
all from
calling
watching that
Sean.
over and over again, like I have been.
He's running around in circles. Yell,
It is. It's over. All right, we are back. Sorry, let me get rid of this music. Hey everyone, Edie here. Let's get our stuff sorted out for our show because we're so damn professional. Hey, how are you?
Nope.
How is everyone? We're back. Getting ready for the show. Nick, have you done all your stuff? Hey,
Yes.
Vice. Hey, how's things?
I did do all my stuff. Oh wait, we had different banner styles.
Yes, I changed the banner styles. I just
Oh,
feel like
okay.
switching them up, you know.
Hmm.
And I like this way doing it because it like highlights that Vice said it. And grats on getting an emote. Yeah, we finally hit the affiliate stage. So, you know, thank you for everybody that's been watching on Twitch. We appreciate it. What did I just witness? You witnessed, we'll talk about it when we start the show. You witnessed Nick and I playing
Oh, can you
Heavy
not
Rain.
remember the title? There you go.
There we go. Yeah. Oh, stand by. Did I screw this up? Oh, what's going on here? Okay, that's Point Connect. All right. No, don't say that. All right, good. Sorry, I had something up on my Audacity that I was doing some work on that was nothing to do with GameHounds. And I had to remind myself what the hell it was. So, let's see. We've got... Yep, that should do it. Got everything on. Yeah, that was... I don't know if you heard, Vice, but Nick and I have gone back to Heavy Rain because Nick absolutely just hates Heavy Rain, or I absolutely hate Heavy Rain. Nick doesn't absolutely like it, but he really liked it more than I did. So after
I
what,
really liked it.
15 years, 17 years, we went back to look at it to see if it holds up. And it doesn't.
I don't know. It's holding up about as well as I expected. It's got a couple really good dramatic moments. It's doing interesting things with the controller. It is a game that is probably more interesting than good, but I think that Quantic Dreams went in the wrong direction with the other games. They iterated on the
Don't
branch.
do the show before the show.
Wait, I thought you went live.
We're live, but we haven't started the show.
Oh,
We
well,
still have to hit the. Let's start it. You want to start it so we can talk?
No. Yeah, it's just they.
So I'm just looking at the banners, making sure that I know what everything is. We got the news banners. All right, yeah. Cool. We got everything and we don't have the same things, which is nice. All right. So we're going to start the show now because Nick has forgotten how starting the show is. And I know Sean just completely made you forget everything. He does for me too. All right. Starting the show.
Bye.
No. Don't go.
Yep.
Start.
Later.
Start. What? Nick, stop.
What?
Dork.
I'm here.
Okay. We're going to start the show now.
I'm here in spirit.
This podcast discusses video games, modern culture, and technology, and these podcasters are big fat potty mouths. If you're younger than 18 or are easily offended, please stop this podcast now. Oh, and your mom says to take out the trash and do your homework.
Hello and welcome to GameHounds. GameHounds episode 653. We are recording this on a very rainy Sunday, September 18th, 2022. I'm Edie Sellers. With me is Nick DiNicola. And if you haven't been watching the show live, maybe you should. We had a moment with Sean. So, how you doing, Nick?
I'm doing good.
Good.
I'm doing well.
Yeah, I was over at your place last night for dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you now? I don't oh, that's a different room than we were in.
Yeah, this is the office.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah, went over there. I was supposed to do a stream last night, and we just realized it wasn't going to happen. So I abandoned the stream. Just was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go over, and it took me 3 hours, 2.5 hours, 3 hours to get over to your house.
Yeah, you hit some bad traffic.
I had some. Well, the highway was closed between, actually not very far from my house. So the first 5 miles took an hour and a half. The rest of the trip took,
How does it take an hour to go 5 miles?
Well, it's because I was on the highway and there was a rollover. They're doing highway work on the freeway, going like to the main freeway into San Francisco and down the peninsula and everything else. It's the main artery. And on the freeway near me, they've been doing work and shifting lanes. And for a few months, it's been shifted everything to the left. Last week, in the middle of the night, they shifted everything to the right. So people that are used to driving it were like, what? And, like we have lots of trucks on this particular highway because it's a major connector from the North Bay to the Central Bay. And yeah, there was accidents, to say the least, and that we had a rollover of a big rig. So yeah, that happened. But anyway, how are you? How's things? We got people in the chat room. Hey, chat room, how are you? We've got AC Wraith, of course, who's saying grats on getting the emote. Yes, thank you to everyone that has been watching on Twitch. We finally got to our affiliate status. It doesn't sound like much, but it was kind of it took a while to get there. I'm hoping that it goes up easier for the rest of the way. Nick's Datman says, Nick's an eager beaver. Yeah, you are. We got Dream in the chat room. We've got, I think Vice is in the chat room. And yeah, we started the show with a clip that you can find on Twitch because we played it on Twitch. You can find it of a moment, let's just say. One of the funnier moments from when we played last week. And Nick was saying, if you aren't aware, we are replaying Heavy Rain. What is it, 17 years after it was originally out? Because Nick played it when it first came out. I played it when it first came out. We have disagreed on this.
17 years.
15 years, 12 years, something like that. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a while for sure.
12, I think it's 12 years. But anyway, it's Nick and I have historically disagreed on this. It's one of the first disagreements we have, and we still have it. That I absolutely hated Heavy Rain, and I completed it. And that was the game that made me most angry, followed by Greedfall. That I played it all the way through and was angry when it was done because I was so pissed off at what I just did and how I wasted my time. Nick, you don't say it's a great game, but you say it's a very good game, and we've never agreed.
Yeah, I think,
and I don't think it's. I think it's held up exactly how I expected.
I think it's really,
still
really
annoying.
Interesting. I think it does some cool things. It has some cool moments. I don't think the whole story hangs together. I think a lot of the dialogue is like not well written. I think a lot of the voice acting is pretty bad, but it's one of those games that I have a soft spot for because I can see what it was trying to do, and I love what it was trying to do. I love that it was trying to shoot something from half court with it blindfolded, and it's like, watch this.
Whiff.
And just whiff. But you know what?
Total nothing but air.
I applaud the effort and the gusto that it takes to do that. It's
I guess. I
It's
mean,
also
I'll give it credit there. It did try to do a lot of things. You are giving it a big E for effort. I am giving it a
yes,
big F for failing to deliver on that effort.
and I give it an E for effort because a lot of things that it tries to do are like right up my alley. You know, it wants to be a slow, moody thriller. It wants to be like the Seven or the Zodiac of video games, and those are both like fantastic movies. I love those. It wants to be a David Fincher film, which I love. That's a really
Yeah,
I-
that's absolutely. It's a great way of describing
Yeah.
Heavy Rain. It's a video game that wants to be a movie,
well, specifically a David Fincher movie.
a David Fincher movie, right?
And it doesn't, but no other developer has like ever even tried, and all the subsequent games went off in a different direction. When this game works, I think it works really, really well. Like individual moments, scenes, the way the controls work, the way that you have the story branches and you can make decisions, like it really works. But then it all falls apart later on. But it's those little moments that I always remember as like, oh, this is really cool.
So AC Wraith is saying, so to be clear, no Facebook today. Yeah, no Facebook today. I looked at the numbers on Facebook. First off, I've always not been super happy about Facebook. A, fuck Mark Zuckerberg. B, if there's one way to say that you are old, be on Facebook. So I've had an issue with that. Number one. Number two is I looked at our numbers. The only person watching on Facebook is AC Wraith. So we're not doing Facebook anymore. Fuck Facebook. And we got, hey, look who we got in the chat room. We got Chaos in the chat room, our former co-host. And we got Vice in the chat room. We got Datman who says, I woke up early on my day off. At least I get to watch you guys live. Yes, I am so glad
Thank you for
did.
that.
So my thoughts on Heavy Rain is it is exactly I see where you're going, and it is for those reasons that I stayed with that game to finish it. I thought it was doing something unique. It was doing something different. It challenged me, and because it never truly delivered on the promises it was making with its mouth, it couldn't deliver with its body. I ended up being so angry with it because I wasted so much time with it.
And I think that's like the two of us. I will always respect an interesting failure more than a boring success. Like
Mhm.
I would rather play something that fails in a really interesting way than to play something that's good but it's kind of uninspired. Well, I play it for an hour and I'm like, yeah, okay,
Yeah,
there are better things.
I think I might have liked it more if I was more into David Fincher films and that kind of oeuvre. And I don't think, obviously this speaks directly to you. This does not speak directly to me, and didn't even less so when it came out. So I think that's why I really, really, really don't like it. But I will say this. Watching you play it is very different than me playing it because I could just sit back and watch it like a movie. Like it makes a better movie than it does a video game.
Yeah. Well, it does a weird thing with the controls. I think it's neat the way that like you'll come up to an object and you'll have to flick up on the control stick or down, left and right, or sometimes you go up and then circle to the
Like
right.
to open a door, you have to go up and circle.
Yeah. Or like to rock a baby, you go right and then down and then left and then down to simulate the rocking. Like that's a cool idea. But also your character controls like a car.
Yes.
There is no like analog movement. You hit the R2 and he walks forward like it's a gas pedal, and then you stop and you turn. So it's a lot of like mm, mm, mm. Couple that with like, oh, I walked past something and a little icon appears. Let me stop, turn around, go forward. Okay, hit it. And so when you don't have, I don't mind that. I don't mind the controls. Like I've actually gotten really used to them in just the short time that we've played. But yeah, if you don't have to do that,
Right.
I imagine it's a lot. In a funny way, it kind of speaks to like, there's some movies that are so bad they're good. I think it's
Yeah,
hard.
yeah. I will
It's
give you that.
hard to.
What's the Showgirls is my classic favorite for that. Oh,
Hmm.
so bad, it's genius.
I feel like it's hard for a game to be so bad it's good, because if it's bad, like you're playing it and you're in it and you have to always focus on like the bad controls, and it's just not fun.
Hmm.
But watching other people play a bad game,
Right.
then you don't have to deal with the controls. Then it becomes more like a bad movie, and I think it becomes way
Right.
more entertaining. Also, because I know that Heavy Rain and the story doesn't hold together, I'm happy to just mock it
Right.
mercilessly.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what, and that's a viable role that it plays in gaming. Is it is easy to mock that game. Easy as
Mhm.
hell to mock that game. So yeah, that was our take on Heavy Rain. We're still gonna play it. You want to play it tonight?
Maybe. I thought you wanted to watch me try to beat Melania tonight.
Oh, that's right. Nick is going to hit Melania in the game that shall not be named, Elden Ring. And so he's been holding off at my request to do the Melania fight. He's done it a number of times. He's at the point he thinks he can beat her.
No, I don't know if I'd say that.
Really?
I fought her like a bunch of times,
Mhm.
lost. Then I went and did other stuff in the game. And I kind of went and did everything else I could in the game except for beating it. And then in addition to that, I did like this little not an exploit, but this little easy, cheap thing to gain a lot of experience. And so I did that to level up a bunch of times. Throughout the game, you collect like little experience baubles, right? Like, hey, use this item to get X number of XP, right? A lot of
Mhm.
RPGs have that. I almost never used them. So I use them all now.
God,
got myself
you literally core dumped yourself.
got myself about 1 million runes, well, 1 million XP, which is a crazy amount, even in the late game.
Right.
And so I think between the first time I fought her and now, I've probably gone up about 20 to 30 levels.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so you're coming back to her a brand new man.
I'm coming back to a new man. I'm coming back to her with a plan, with knowledge of this summon that works really well against her, with
Okay.
the ability to strengthen that summon to have it do even more damage. After having watched a lot of videos about her, to be like, okay, this is how she moves. This is how you dodge her.
Mhm.
I haven't put any of it into practice yet, but I'm coming in with a lot more knowledge and a lot stronger character.
Good. All right. Well, then I'm totally in and down for that. And what time do you think you're going to do it tonight?
Let's probably do a later time because we
Yeah.
probably won't be up. Let's say 8:30 to 9.
Okay. 8:30. Well, yeah, 8:30. I mean, that's pretty late for East Coast. Sorry for all you East Coasters, but
Yeah,
I'll
I'm on
watch
the
it.
West Coast and I'm a night owl.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
apologize.
So yeah, 8:30 Pacific time tonight. Nick is gonna hit Melania, and I hope you get it done before midnight because that's when I got to go to bed. So that's interesting. Is anybody on Twitch? Yeah, we're on Twitch. Are we on Twitch? Because it's not showing coming up as being on. It says we're offline. Oh, because I'm looking at the wrong GameHounds. All right, I'm double checking. I like to check to make sure that we have lift off on all of our feeds while Nick is talking. So let's see, what else did you play this week?
That was almost it, except that
Mhm.
last night I was looking for something to play, and you had asked me to hold off on Elden Ring. So I played a game called Adrift, which
Okay.
is one I had bought and downloaded a long time ago. It's a puzzle game. I would call it a first person walker, one of those walking simulators, except that you're in space and you're
Mhm.
not walking, you're floating. There is some huge disaster on a space station. You wake up with no memory of what's going on, and you have to just survive. You have to like bring enough of the station back online that you can get in an escape ship. But the space station is like literally floating in pieces. So there's always zero gravity. You're
Mhm.
never on your feet. And so it's all about that process of just kind of floating through zero G. There are oxygen canisters everywhere that will allow you to kind of pop your O2 back, which is good because you're also using oxygen as a fuel. So every time you adjust your momentum, you're using up oxygen. Um, and that seems like it would be tough if like, oh, fuel becomes a resource that will kill you if you run out. But
Mhm.
there are so many oxygen canisters everywhere that it never really becomes an issue. The UI is a little confusing. It seems a little cluttered. But once I get it, once I understood like what the symbols meant, where the game was pointing me, how to go about moving through this world, it became like a really chill, meditative story, a
Mhm.
meditative game of just, hey, I'm gonna just kind of float through this tunnel. I'm gonna grab some O2. I'm gonna go from this module out into space to get into another module that's been broken off and slowly bring this station online. And yeah, it took me like 4 to 5 hours, I would say. I finished it all in one sitting. Um, so it's not a particularly long game, but if you're looking for this type of game, like it is a walking simulator, a floating simulator, you know. Instead of walking, you're just kind of going through this environment, picking up some little narrative tchotchkes here and there. You're always following an icon, and that's kind of what helped made it click, is that when you first get into it, there's a lot of icons on the screen, a lot of things everywhere. But when you realize, oh, there's one particular icon that always points you in like the story direction.
Mhm.
And as long as you follow that, the game just kind of takes you through this station, which otherwise would be a goddamn maze. Like if it wasn't for like the game leading me by the hand through this station, it would be impossible because like there are pieces of it floating everywhere. There is no up, down, left, or right. It would be really confusing. But thankfully, the game does hold your hand through it. And so it becomes a much more relaxing, chill experience of a massive near apocalyptic space station disaster.
That's kind of cool. Is it a
Mhm.
long game or is it?
No, I beat it in one sitting.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, so it's super short.
not super short, like 4 or 5 hours.
Still, I consider that super short for a game. It's, a little appetizer for other games.
Hmm.
Um, so where did you find this, on Steam or is it
I think
PlayStation?
I played it on PlayStation. It's available pretty much everywhere. It
Okay.
came out a while ago. It's actually interesting. Do you remember? Wait, let me Google his name. See if I can get. Um, when the Xbox One was
Mhm.
first coming out, and they said, "Hey, it's going to have DRM. It's always
Mhm.
on DRM." One of the someone in Xbox send out a tweet that was like, "Hey, just deal with it." Like, I know you people are upset, but look, this is the way it is. Just deal with it. And like Twitter and game community like raked him over the coals, and he got
I vaguely remember that. It's like a forgotten memory. Literally, it feels familiar, but I cannot remember the details of that.
yeah. That guy wrote this game after he got fired. And what's interesting is, as you go through the story and you kind of learn more about what's going on, it
Mhm.
really does feel like it's this story about someone who's asked to do an impossible task by their boss. Shit goes bad, and then they get thrown under the bus for it. And it's like, okay, this is definitely you working through some issues, but you made a good game out of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, AC Wraith says the dev doesn't exist anymore and the publisher doesn't list it. You can find it on like the storefront for any. You can find it on Steam. You can find it on Xbox Live and PSN. But the developer did like make this game, and then that was it.
Yeah. There it is. Adrift Dev 310 has run its course. So yeah. It sounds neat. I mean, how long ago did it come out?
When did the Xbox One come out?
Oh, really? It's an Xbox. I didn't realize it's an Xbox One game. Okay, so this is really old. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
The controversy that made the writer lose his job was around the Xbox One. And then
okay.
after he got fired, this game came out like a year or two later.
So that was in the years. What's his name?
Oh yeah, that was totally the Don Matrick years.
Don Matrick years. Yeah. Everybody that left Xbox in the Don Matrick years should be given like, a bonus and an apology letter.
Oh, come
Really?
on. Why does wait?
What?
According to Wikipedia, Weezer did the soundtrack.
No. Really?
That's what it said. Composers, Weezer.
Weezer did do soundtrack for a DRI 1 FT.
Which is weird because like it's not a rock soundtrack. It's a moody, electronic, spacey.
Well, no, it
soundtrack.
wasn't. It was not Weezer. It was Weezer's Brian Bell did it.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. The game's soundtrack. This is according to Wikipedia. The game's soundtrack. The game's soundtrack was mainly composed by Orth. And with contributions from Weezer.
Okay, yeah, Orth was the writer. He was the guy that made the comments and got fired and kind of spearheaded this whole thing.
Yeah, so let me find that soundtrack. Yeah, there we go. The game's soundtrack was composed by Orth, contributions from the band Weezers. The game's sounds were recorded by Al Nelson of Skywalker Sound at Skywalker Ranch. Oh, okay. Nelson stated that he intended to tell a story tell a story and present emotion with sound. Cool.
Yeah, neat little game.
Yeah.
Highly recommended if you're looking for something
to keep you from having to go to Elden Ring and finish up Millennia.
If you're looking for something kind of chill and hypnotic, it's a good one of those.
Good. All right. So let's see. The only other thing I have to comment on, because I didn't do much, other than, there was heavy rain, obviously, but I also been with Crusader Kings. I'm still doing my Crusader Kings playthroughs. I have started a couple of different campaigns that I have midway. I'm starting one that I'm not broadcasting, where I'm trying to exploit it hard, like super hard. And I am using it once again. Spiffing Brit has all the great exploits. He just finds the way to figure stuff out. And I found a way that you can play in iron mode and by their rules, which means that it's like it's one playthrough, all saved. You can become practically unstoppable because you can create people in your court that are 100-point man. So you're not 100-point man, but they're 100-point man. So you can just create completely overpowered people and put them on your court. And then you just can do just power through everything. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. And I forget what I'm doing on the regular Crusader Kings. I think I'm just still playing through the Friends and Foes pack. I got on the other night and I was playing a completely different campaign where it's like, I'm just going to play evil. And I found out about an Easter egg character that is named for one of the QA testers of the game. That you don't know it until you go into the code for the game. But every character in Crusader Kings has a numerical value given to it, to him or her, with that denotes the lifespan, like the base lifespan. And you can increase it or decrease it by making choices. Most lifespans are 5. That's the numerical value for a lifespan that goes until like 50 or 60. And that's when pretty much everybody dies. You can get to 7. People live until their 70s. There is this one character who has horrible stats. He is one-eyed, one-legged, one-armed, a craven, so he's a chicken. He's got all these incredibly bad, like horrible stats. He has 0, like all of his numbers, his stats numbers are 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, except for intrigue, where he's 27, which is an alarming amount of intrigue. But his base lifespan number is 14, where everybody else is on an average 5, which means that he's going to live a really, really long time. And then you can make decisions to increase it. And there are people that have played him up until 150 years old. So I'm playing him and I'm playing evil, which is really hard because everybody hates his guts because he's got all the bad traits.
I mean, wouldn't that make it easier to be evil? Because you're just getting revenge on everybody.
Yeah, but everybody wants to murder you. Everybody's trying to murder you. Nobody wants to give you anything. It's really, really hard to play that character. Really hard to play that character. So, but I'm just going in there. I just wanted to go in there and just murder people. And I did. And I'm doing it. I was just in a mood. It was Friday night. I was late. It was a really hard week for me last week. And I'm looking at a really brutal week next week. And I was like, I just need to murder a bitch. And that's what I did. Murdered a lot of bitches. So if you ever want to check us out, please do, or check me out, or check Nick out, or check anything. There's our Twitch stream. If you're on the YouTube channel, if you're on this Twitch stream right now, go ahead and follow us. If you are on the YouTube stream, you might want to go follow us on Twitch so that you can watch us do the gameplay. Because tonight, if you're never going to watch another episode of GameHounds, tonight is the night to watch it. Because Nick is going to beat Melania.
Yeah, no. Don't make promises I can't keep.
I have faith. So anyway, yeah, that's what we got. So any other Bitters is in here and he says, I'm all about that murder. Yeah, I had in the job that I have right now, they actually had a question for me in my interview of, why do you like video games? And I the first thing that came up into my head was because I get to murder people. But I thought this is not a good idea to say this. Check that, put that away, take that thought, put it to the side, come up with a better answer. And of course it came up with a better answer, but it was the first thing I thought was because I get to knife a bitch. I get to beat people the way I want to do it in real life, but would never do it because I might, spend the rest of my life in prison. Thank you for the link. Watch Nick beat Melania on Twitch. We are so psyched for YouTube. We're so convinced you're going to beat her.
Jeez.
No pressure. Genderbox says Adrift is great to play in VRs. Feels like the movie Gravity. Oh, I was wondering.
That would be, yeah, they did do a VR version. That would be cool.
I think I may have seen that in the comedy channel Hummy's VR Comedy. That they played it co-op in, I think that it was that or something like it. When I saw it, I'm like, is that game that I saw in VR Hummies that was really fucking funny? But yeah, I think that might, the fact that you said it was VR makes me really almost sure that it is VR.
Might have been a mod.
Maybe.
Because I don't think it supports co-op naturally.
Okay. Or it might be something that's very like it that does have co-op. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So we got a lot to talk about in the news. You want to hit it?
Sure.
All right. Then let's hit the news. Weekend Gaming with Gamer Edie and Nick DiNicola. And our first item is...
Well, I feel like this would be the most appropriate because this happened recently. There was a huge leak of GTA 6 videos.
Wow. Yeah, not just a... And when we talk, and I woke up to this morning and it was like, oh, a leak of videos. And then I saw what it was.
Oh, hell yeah, Dat Man. I'm with you.
What? Pull it up. Click it in there because I'm on another thing. You gotta use your clicker.
Okay.
Talking about murdering people, excited for the next version of Knives Out. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, GTA's huge leak. I'm looking for the...
Yeah,
Did you get rid of mine?
No.
Higher Nintendo quality.
But a lot of video got leaked of it, but it wasn't like promotional video or things like that. It's recorded footage of someone working on the game.
Right.
So it's a lot of like, there's a whole bunch of HUD elements in the way. Here, I can share.
You got rid of my banner.
No, I didn't.
I'm looking at, there's nothing. I know I put that in there.
I did not delete a single banner.
All right, a minute. There we go. Got it. Yeah, they're obviously in development, and according to reports, it's like 100 different videos, and some of them are in less states. Like this is just obviously testing and making adjustments over and over. Some of them are a little more developed with actual like them running missions. But yeah, it is a massive leak, and with some spoilers obviously involved. The first one being a female protagonist.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I need to draw a line. That is not a spoiler. You cannot say that's a spoiler.
Well, it's notable. It's notable that it is confirmation that GTA 6 will have a female protagonist, which was discussed in the past, but was speculation.
Yeah. Notable about that for sure.
It confirms that. It also can, like, this is the spoiler. It goes back to Vice City.
Yeah, I still don't think that's a spoiler.
I think it's kind of important. Setting with GTA is as much of a character as the characters. So the fact that it's going back to Vice City is kind of notable. So yeah, there appears to be two protagonists in these leaked videos. Yeah. One of them is a girl called, I think, Janice, and then Justin, or something like that.
Yeah, which fits with the earlier rumor that it would be a Bonnie and Clyde-esque story.
Yeah. So that seems to be true. So obviously when you come to leaks like this, the legitimacy of the leaks become a question. According to the GTA forums, the source of these videos is the same person that was behind the hack of Uber. And when you look at these videos with all of the like details in it, with the code and the, testing things over and over that seem like legitimate testing of stuff, it could be faked. It could be a hoax,
No,
but it would be
they've
really, really detailed hoax. It'd be really hard to
it's
hoax
not.
this.
Like it's 100% not.
Yeah.
Jason Schreier has reached out to Rockstar and they've basically confirmed that it's real.
Oh, yeah, because last thing I read was that they were waiting for Rockstar to say something.
Oh yeah.
So
Apparently the leaker has even reached out to Rockstar to be like, I'm looking to negotiate a deal, but
yeah,
it's unclear what that actually means. It's
Yep.
unclear if that's a threat of like, if we don't make a deal, I'll release more, or hey, I didn't know this was gonna blow up so much. Please don't sue me.
yeah, we're not really sure which one he's doing, but yeah, here is Stephen Totillo with the tweet that says, "I am looking to negotiate a deal." That's what the hacker said. That says that he woken up to thousands of messages and calling people from Rockstar Take-Two to contact them. So yeah, this is it's probably for money. I'm just going to speculate there, but you never know.
Mhm.
If it truly is the same hacker behind Uber, he does not give a fuck about people being upset. But this leak is on the scale of, I don't know if there's ever been a leak this wide and this big of this much material ever in the history of gaming leaks. Has there? It's just
Half-Life
wild
2
to
would be the
that
closest.
much. And Rockstar is really, really careful when it comes to leaks. They're incredibly careful.
Yes.
The fact that this got out,
It seems like it was done by the same person who hacked Uber a couple weeks ago
that's what I said.
or
Yeah.
sometime. Okay, yeah. And I guess
If
they
it's
got
just
access to an employee Slack channel.
is it the same thing? What Slack channels, man? Slack channels. How this is like at least the third time we have talked about a leak that has come from a Slack channel. That somebody got access to somebody through that. Because the same thing happened with with the hack of was it Football Manager? No, FIFA. The FIFA fake cards was getting access with the person that was selling like legitimate black market cards that had been stolen from EA. Those are people that had gotten access to those card like codes through the Slack some employees Slack connections. So if that is a Slack thing, the headline is big old leak about GTA, but the almost equal sub headline is, how should you really be using Slack?
Hmm.
Clearly Slack is a serious security concern for any company that wants to keep things out of hackers' hands. So, yeah, and I don't hear about other companies having the same issues. Like you don't hear about it with Monday.com. You don't hear about it with Teams. You only hear about it with Slack. I don't know if it's because Slack is so ubiquitous
Yeah.
comparatively.
Is that because the security is bad or because they're just
There's
the
more of them.
common, a
Yeah.
numbers game?
Well, as someone who, for most of my life, never had any security on my computer because I had a Mac and nobody wrote viruses for Mac because everybody's spending all the time writing viruses for PC. There is something to be said for going the path less traveled when it comes to, this kind of stuff. If fewer people are using something like Monday than people using Slack, if you're using Monday, chances are they're probably not trying to hack into Monday accounts and putting the efforts into Monday accounts because there's just not enough pay dirt. They're going to start hacking into Slack accounts. So, yeah. Anyway, bottom line, huge leak. You find it out. Yeah, there we go. To break the EA games. Yep, there it is. Bitter says, at least I'll be able to afford a suitable video card for it now. Yeah. Oh, That's right. That's another thing I forgot to bring up. I forgot to make part of it was the fact that EVGA is going out of the video card business because they are ending immediately their relationship with NVIDIA because they say it's abusive. This is somebody that essentially started with NVIDIA. They like started about the same time. They've been a partnership for 20 years. And they just dropped it that it's like, no, we're not going with AMD. We're not going with Intel. We're just getting out of the business.
They're done with GPUs.
Done with GPUs. We're only going to do, all the stuff, the other stuff that we do, the power supplies, which arguably, I should take the banner off because we're not talking about that. And I don't have a banner. This arguably, it's not a horrible thing. I mean, it is. It's huge questions, but there probably is going to be an increased market in power supplies because if you look at these latest, what is it, the 40 series that are coming out, the power demand on those things is a nightmare. So, power supplies are going to be a thing. And it was very much a breakup. And the way that they did it, that Stephen, I want to say his name is Stephen Huang, the CEO of EVGA, brought in like a handful of very influential tech reporters. I was like 10 or 12 of them. Super secret, flew them all out, brought them into the company, brought them into the building, sat them all down, and everybody's like, what are they going to announce? Maybe it's something big. They're thinking it's going to be huge. And then it was like, yeah, we're breaking up with NVIDIA. And they had no clue. And it was,
and the sound of it is like, I guess NVIDIA didn't share information about its products with its partners until that information was available to the public.
Yeah. A lot of these like EVGA and all the other companies that have contracts with NVIDIA, first off tells them how they want their cards, how EVGA needs to build their cards. They are very, very controlling in it. So you don't get these like wild and crazy designs. You only get the NVIDIA sanctioned designs from each of these manufacturers, these card manufacturers. But the other thing is that NVIDIA would not tell their card manufacturers what they're going to sell stuff for. So they couldn't, and there's of course a manufacturer's suggested retail price that they have to hold to that NVIDIA sets for these cards.
Mm-hmm.
And if they go down any farther, and it's a very, very, very small profit margin, so they can't really go down farther than the manufacturer suggested retail price because there's not enough profit there. So it's not knowing what the cost of materials are going to be. It's really hard to run a business like that. And of course, there's allotments of the chips and everything else. It's NVIDIA is, it's kind of a well-known thing that NVIDIA is not very easy to work with.
There's a tweet that someone put out that said, imagine how badly you've screwed things up when your business practices force a company called Extreme Video Graphics Adapters to stop making video graphics adapters.
Exactly. This was the announcement that rocked the tech world. And to anybody that's like thinking of building a computer or even buying a computer, because now EVGA has said that they will continue selling out the 30 series until they're done with them, holding back enough to be able to do returns and warranty stuff.
Yeah.
But there is this question that do you want to buy an EVGA card knowing that there may not be the support for that later on? At a certain point, that support's going to dry up. There is no more EVGA. And they can't replace it with like something newer or better.
So does NVIDIA like contract with other graphics manufacturers?
They do. I can't remember what other ones they do. They have multiple manufacturers, and it's a bit like the De Beers diamond monopoly. I don't know if you're familiar with that. That diamonds are actually not very rare. It's just that all diamond mines are owned by the De Beers company, and they allocate diamonds. They have all their diamonds in a vault, and they allocate them out in very small amounts to their chosen wholesalers. And if you're a chosen wholesaler, it's all good. But, if you cross them at any time or break with them or look at them funny, they will eliminate your allotment, and that's the end of your business. And they essentially, you come in, you sit down, they hand you a envelope with diamonds. They show you the diamonds, and it's like, these are your diamonds. You don't get any more. It's like, there's no negotiation of cut or clarity or anything. It's like, these are your diamonds. You get these, go away. Very much the same thing with NVIDIA, that they had an allotment for each of their manufacturers that were using their cards. And it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen with the other manufacturers, because of course now there's a lot more allotment freed up for the next batch of cards. So, or are they just going to be like, yeah, we're going to, are they going to be able to use the fact that they lost their biggest company, their biggest partner, their most loyal partner over the years, if you look at time-wise, if they're going to actually use that as leverage to be able to say, okay, NVIDIA, you need to shape up, or we're going to. Can't really be in business if nobody's going to be doing business with you. That being said, NVIDIA has signaled that it wants to get into the card manufacturer business. That, I think, was the real thing that drove them away, was the founders cards that were essentially the same cards that NVIDIA was putting out, but they were $300 cheaper because they didn't have to pay the middleman, NVIDIA, for the parts, for the goods to make it. So I'm interested to see how this plays out. But I think the combination of this and the bottom falling out of the crypto market, and now, what was it? Ethereum going away from proof of work. The bottom is falling out of all of those markets now, and especially on eBay, you can get cards for a fraction of the cost. Andrew, how does it feel to have spent that much money on a card that is now worth a third of what you spent on it?
I mean,
Below what you even wanted to spend on it originally, below the manufacturer's suggested retail price.
I feel like that's graphics card.
Yeah.
You have to expect that.
Yep. So yeah, there's the announcement for the EVGA won't offer NVIDIA the next gen series, so they're not doing the 40 series. EVGA's official message, if you want to read it, it is salty. It is when people call it a breakup, this is a breakup. It is a divorce. It's not even a divorce. It's she walked out and she left you with the kids. So AC Ray says, how much hardware support does one tend to expect from a video card? The long-term stuff is driver support, which comes from NVIDIA. Anyway, true, but there is the issue of if you're under manufacturer warranty and there's the next gen out, you can pay a little bit more and actually get the next gen instead of getting a warranty for, the same gen. There's, those kind of things going on that aren't going to be available. The support. What happens if you're under warranty, you buy one of the last ones on the shelves and you're under warranty, and it just so happens that they are also out of the cards for the RMAs and your card breaks and they give you back what you paid for it. But now cards are more expensive for whatever reason. You got to go to somebody else to create a whole other card from a whole other manufacturer. It's just a bit of a nightmare for that, especially when there's so many cards you can get like cheaper on eBay right now because there's such a glut of them because the crypto market failed, collapsed. So yeah, was like the other huge news, but that's not gaming related except, peripherally, literally peripherally, but it's important for anybody that's a PC gamer, because if you're thinking about a gaming PC in the future, you're going to have some very different conversations with yourself about what you want to put in it than you were a week ago. Anyway, so I didn't intend that to be my next item, but that was my next item.
Okay. Next one, I guess we'll continue with the big stuff. There were a couple of big showcases. I'll talk about the one that I cared about more, which is Sony's.
Okay.
Sony had a state of play, which lasted about 20 minutes and showed off a couple new games, a God of War trailer, and that was it.
Yeah, it wasn't much of a...
It wasn't a whole lot. A lot of what they showed, though, was pretty neat. A lot of open world Japanese games. Ghost of Tsushima seemed to have broken a dam, and now everyone is like, let's do it.
Really? See, I didn't see the state of play. I should have, but I didn't. How do you compare it to what the Xbox what was it, showcase that we had last week?
There was an Xbox showcase last week?
No, sorry. I'm thinking the Ubisoft Connect. Sorry, never mind.
Oh,
moving right along. For some reason, I was thinking it was an Xbox one.
Yeah, it more interesting than that, just because Ubisoft didn't really have anything that I cared too much about. They announced Tekken 8, which is the next iteration of Tekken. They announced a bunch of games coming for the PSVR 2. Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy's Edge, a kind of D&D tabletop VR experience called Demio. But perhaps more interesting is they announced Like a Dragon Ishin, which kind of circles back into another news story that we have about how Yakuza games are now no longer called Yakuza.
Really?
So the Yakuza name is now going to be Like a Dragon, which apparently in Japan, the franchise name for Yakuza is Like a Dragon. And it's only outside.
Because there actually are Yakuza there.
And outside did they get the name Yakuza.
Yeah.
And so now they're officially changing that so that now that franchise is just going to be Like a Dragon : something.
Oh, okay.
Which brings us back to Like a Dragon Ishin, which is the new game from the Yakuza developers that's basically a Yakuza game in feudal Japan.
Oh. That sounds kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Is feudal Japan the new Zombies?
No.
That's the third feudal Japan game that I've heard about? No, second. In the last week. 2 weeks.
There's some others. The other big one is from Rise of the Ronin. This is from the developer Team Ninja, the developer of Neo. And it's not a whole lot of sense of what kind of game it is. It's a Team Ninja game, so it's going to have a lot of combat.
Right.
But it's not clear if it's structured like Neo, if it's structured like Ninja Gaiden. But it's a cool looking action, maybe not feudal Japan. This one is set several years more into modern day, but looks pretty good.
Yeah. Okay. We're talking excluding that, being gracious and saying, okay, that's not actually feudal Japan. So you've got the feudal Japan one that you were talking about, the Like a Dragon.
Yeah.
We've got coming up Assassin's Creed Red.
Don't count that. Don't count that game. That game doesn't count because it's not going to be out for another 5 years.
Yeah, but it's announced now. I'm just saying that I'm hearing a lot of feudal Japan stuff happening since Ghost of Tsushima.
I don't count that Assassin's Creed one because by the time that game comes out, you'll have forgotten all these
Right.
other
It's
games
going to be
came out.
past, but I'm saying that it's announced now. The what was that game that you played that was the it was like a Kurosawa movie, side scroller?
Oh, that one also, I wouldn't count that one. That's a side-scrolling action game.
It's just I am noticing that we are talking about a lot of feudal Japan games in the last 6 months. So, if you're going to do that, you want to get a full screen.
Well, I want to just give you a sense of what it is so that
No,
we
I mean,
can scroll down.
yeah, it's too small to see on the screen is what I'm saying.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
they announced some other things. Sin Duality and Stellar Blade look like very Japanese action games.
Mhm.
This
Rise
is
of
the
the
t- thi-
Ronin. Hey,
this is
look,
the
it's
Team Ninja
feudal
one.
Japan.
Yeah, this is the one I just mentioned. This
Oh,
one
okay.
actually looks really, really cool.
Yeah.
This is the more interesting one, I would say.
Yeah.
And then they showed off a trailer for God of War, which got everyone excited. And yeah, it looks like God of War.
Yeah. So, let's since we're talking about like showcases, there were two other showcases that happened this week. The next console specific one. What's the matter?
I'm going to be right back.
Oh, okay. The next console specific one was Nick always messes with the freaking titles after I do it. The Nintendo. Let's see where there we go. Nintendo Direct was the next thing that happened. It was 40 minutes long, but holy crap, did they put a lot of shit into that 40 minutes. It was insane how much information they dumped. So here is the information on that. First off, Zelda. We knew they were going to talk about it, and they talked a lot about it. We got an official name, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, that drops May 12th, 2023. And the trailer contained footage of a link to explore Hyrule, both on land and in sky, and gave us a look at a new stasis power and the shattered world of Hyrule. The Hyrule looks like it became. The next big thing they mentioned was 7 years after Shigeru Miyamoto says that it was very close to completion. Pikmin 4 is coming out in 2023. So yeah, he actually came by the Direct and made the announcement. It is actually that was the pretty much one of the few games that was mentioned in this Direct that didn't have an actual date, which was very, very different and kind of nice.
It'll be another 7 years.
Yeah, but even so, after this is kind of the season for these events, these conferences and announcements and these plays and announcement videos, announcement presentations. Almost very, 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 very few of what you've heard about from anything, PlayStation, Ubisoft, whoever, have actually given a date. They just say 2023 or 2022.
That's because dates are dangerous. People get really pissy when you don't make a date.
And almost every single game that was mentioned in this Nintendo Direct had a date, which was refreshing as fuck. So, next big item that Nick will be interested in, Fire Emblem Engage. It's going to be the next of the main entries of the Fire Emblem sagas, the series. It's going to be set 1,000 years after the Four Kingdoms sealed away the great evil known as the Fell Dragon. You'll become a divine dragon called Alir, who has to work to collect emblem rings to bring peace back to the continent of Elios. So, yeah. You're gonna meet a
Yeah,
bunch of all former Dragon Age characters or Fire Emblem characters, Fire Emblem characters as you play. This is set for release January 20th, 2023.
Yeah, I'm curious because like Fire Emblem has a franchise I have no particular loyalty to, but some of the mechanics they have with their games are really neat. The way they do the relationships in games is really neat. The last
Mhm.
game, Three Houses, the way that you're a teacher that bonded with the students in the battle and then off during classes, like that was a really neat mechanic. It wasn't just about the combat. So
Right.
I'm curious to see what this game, if it adds anything other than just combat, because I think that's what sets Fire Emblem apart is that it adds some relationship layer on top of the combat
Right.
to make it more interesting.
Yeah. So also Chunderbox says it's nice to see Demio going to PlayStation. Very underrated game on PC. Let's see. The next big item was getting back to my banners. Kirby. Kirby Return to Dreamland, which was released originally on the Wii in 2011, I think it was. It is coming to the Switch in 2023. It's going to be updated. Features 4-player multiplayer and a bunch of mini games like Samurai Kirby, feudal fucking Japan, Nick. Another feudal Japan, Samurai Kirby, and Magalore's Tome Trackers. It's going to be released February 24th, 2023. Another game Nick was super into, and I started and never really got past and got really into it. And I know that I got to go back to it because I know that it's fully an ED game. Octopath Traveler 2. It is going to be released February 24th. February 24th, 2023 is going to be a whole new group of heroes, a brand new story in the world of Celestia, and
Yeah, I
with all
think
the
it's
same 2D HD kind of stuff.
It looks way better.
Is it?
Oh yeah. The video they showed, I'll try to find something
Here,
about it.
I'll pull it up while you talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it'll take place the first game was in a very medieval time period. This one is jumping ahead several hundred years to a more industrial age. So you're going to have things like guns and trains, which will make traveling a bigger part of it. And they're playing around with more dynamic camera angles during cutscenes. So the way the camera like goes down, zooms in, and kind of turns around with the whole HD 2D style looks really, really cool. Like if you like pixel art and if you're into this style, they're pushing it even further than they did in the first game, which is good.
Wow, it does look good. See, I didn't watch it, but yeah, it does look. It feels like an evolution graphically from the first game. It's definitely has that same feel of the DNA, but it's obviously better and bigger.
Yeah, they're doing more with it. And the way they describe the changes they're making, one of the big criticisms for the first game was that even though you're traveling with 8 people, none of them really interact with each other. And so it feels more like 8 separate stories than a group of people traveling together.
Right.
And they said in this game, they wanted to focus on changing that, on making it feel like a group of people traveling together. So there are going to be like little events that happen as you travel, conversations, people talking with each other, and this day-night cycle as well to kind of emphasize the passage of time as you travel from one to another. Like they're really emphasizing the traveler part of Octopath Traveler, which I think is a cool idea.
I'm this makes me want to go back and actually finish Octopath Traveler 1 so that I can be ready for Octopath Traveler 2. That being said,
I mean,
it's
I
to Switch.
don't think
It's coming to Switch February 24th. Actually, I don't know. Is it coming to all? It is not going to be Switch exclusive. It's coming to PC, PS5, and PS4.
Oh, okay.
So PlayStation only for consoles and Switch, obviously.
No, really, it's not coming to Xbox because the first game came to Xbox.
Yeah, no, that didn't say Xbox. According to the reports, it's saying it's only PC, via Steam, PS5, and PS4.
Hmm.
I don't know if that was oversight in the reports or what. So the next big thing that happened was, and I'm putting this out there because I know that there are some super huge fans for it. Bayonetta 3 trailer revealed a little bit more about it. It's coming to Switch on October 28th, so it's like imminent. It's about to be here. Nintendo revealed, and the other big thing that got a ton of attention was upcoming games that are going to be added to Nintendo Switch Online. The big reveal was that GoldenEye 007 is coming back.
Which I also
there-
heard that it's also coming to Xbox, and it's a better version that's coming to Xbox.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's just a little quieter news.
Yeah.
Just put out in a tweet.
Yep.
And no, AC Wraith, you don't have to play the previous entries for Octopath.
AC Ray
They're
says,
all
"Do you
new.
need to play the previous entry? It's probably separate, like the Final Fantasy series."
Yes, that's correct.
Let's see. Next thing was Lady Dimitrescu. I know I could never say her name properly without really reading it. So there's, if you want to get more up close and personal with her, Resident Evil Village Cloud is going to let Switch owners meet Lady Dimitrescu and experience the
Okay.
latest Resident Evil story.
That's
So
right.
this-
This is the only way you could play Resident Evil 8 on the Switch because the hardware can't run the
Handle it.
game. So you basically have to stream it from the cloud.
Right. So it is October 28th, 2 days before Halloween.
It's appropriate.
No, I mean, absolutely no coincidence there. If you want to try, you could try out a demo that is out now on the Switch if you'd like. Then later this year, you're also going to get access to Resident Evil 7, Biohazard, Resident Evil 2, and Resident Evil 3 through this cloud service. And the final, this isn't everything they talked about. I mean, this is a portion of what they talked about in 40 minutes. It was rapid fire. But It Takes Two is coming to Switch, which honestly, I'm really surprised because It Takes Two is very much a Switch type game. But it's coming to the Switch on November 4th. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I wrote November 2nd. I was wrong. It is not November 2nd. It is November 4th, 2022. There you go.
Okay. Only
The
2
game
days
can be
different.
played on one. The game can be played either local co-op on one system or two systems via wireless or online. And they do, I like the Xbox version. It's a game pass, meaning that if a friend pass, if one person has it,
cool.
it lets you give a free copy to your co-op buddy.
That's nice.
Yeah. Well, when you have games that are obligatorily multiplayer, it kind of necessary to ensure that, especially if it's like friendly co-op, it's kind of important for you to ensure that it's not a $120 lift for a couple of people to play a game together.
Yeah.
AC Ray says, "Do you need to play a preview?" Oh, sorry, that's the other
no,
one.
that was-
He said, "And by Halloween, they will have mods to make Lady Dimitrescu in her underwear." Of course, they will.
I don't know
So,
about that because
It is Switch, though.
yeah, it's on the Switch.
Yeah.
Switch doesn't like mods. They've already done that on PC.
Yeah, and it's not just her underwear.
But speaking of Resident Evil 8, Sony sent out some PSVR 2's headsets to some outlets with a couple of games to do like some demos. One of them was the Horizon Call of the Mountain, and the other was Resident Evil Village. And the reviews coming out are very, very positive. So it's like the people have nothing but praise for the headset and like how it works and the technology. Unfortunately, That also leads into the story that Sony announced the PSVR 2 is not going to be backwards compatible because it uses an entirely different tracking system in the headset than what the previous one uses. The
Oh.
previous one, remember, had like a webcam and tracked you with the move controllers. It's basically outside in tracking,
Mhm.
whereas the new headset will use inside out tracking, which means it's like tracking the position of the headset.
Right. Now it's genuine VR. I mean, it's
Yeah.
genuine VR like the Oculus is.
Yeah. And so that's it's good to hear that the technology is really good and that the games they're making with the technology are also very, very good. But it's really unfortunate that it's not backwards compatible because that means one of the things that I thought was worth waiting for with PSVR 2 is if you buy it, suddenly there's a whole backlog of things you can play.
Right.
But that's not the case anymore.
Yeah. AC Ray says to our audio listeners, I mean, let's see, you moved. Oh, you moved. Now audio listeners think that I mentioned that thank you, thank you, Bloody Reaper and me. Oh, you're welcome.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Halloween, the Halloween thing, that was not AC Wraith, that was Bloody Reaper. Blood Reaper. AC Wraith says, I mean, I probably would have it with my humor. Yes, you would. Chunderbox, you were asking something about games and consoles? There wasn't any announcement of games, or not quite sure what your question is about, but yeah. Yeah, you and I have both said that we were going to hold off for PSVR 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I was about to ask you, now that you've seen PSVR 2 and what it does, are you thinking about it a little bit more now? I sort of am, in the fact that I never liked the controller tracking. I
Oh,
didn't
yeah, the move controller.
the move controller tracking. I thought that
Mhm.
was a subpar solution for
The
VR.
PSVR was a hodgepodge of, oh shit, we tried to make a Switch, not a Switch, we tried to make a Wii thing, but it didn't take off. Can we like use that old stock for something else? And they did, and it worked surprisingly well. But yeah, it was absolutely a hodgepodge of things together. And
Yeah,
this is
it was a
actually
little.
more from the ground up designed.
Yeah, yeah. It seems like it's actually intentional as opposed to like a little Frankenstein monster of all these pieces and parts that they kind of stuck
Yes.
together. And
But
it's
I'm a little,
alive.
as for your question, I'm a little hesitant, but I still want one because the alternative is either spend $1,000 on a Vive, which I'm not going to do,
Nope.
or spend less for an Oculus. And
Which I'm not gonna do.
no, I'm not going to do that.
Fuck that. If
Fuck
we're not
Mark Zuckerberg.
broadcasting on Facebook, I'm certainly not going to be like playing games requiring me to fucking sign in on a Facebook page. Could we all agree we're looking, unless something really, really changes with Facebook, we are looking at the death knell of Facebook.
Oh,
This is
that
the
was,
beginning of the end. Actually, we're at the middle of the beginning of the end.
the beginning started when they changed their name.
Yeah, well, no. When the beginning, that yes, but we only see that now in hindsight. Like that is the moment that we saw them go completely off the rails. At the time, we didn't recognize that things were going completely off the rails. They just seemed weird.
I don't know. I think a lot of people were rightfully saying, "Yo,
Google,
this is
yeah,
terrible."
yeah. Well, it was Google changed its name to Alphabet. That
But
was
no,
understandable.
that's different. That was a completely different context.
It was a
Google
completely different context.
Google only changed its name relating to like its larger businesses, right? Like on the stock market, Google never changed their name. They just changed like the name of the hierarchy of their companies, right?
Right.
Alphabet is now at the top, and then underneath it are all these other different
Right.
companies, including Google. Facebook/Meta completely changed its name because they realized the Facebook name was so worthless that it was hurting them. And they're like, we need to change this. And with that change also came them dumping a lot of money into VR.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, agreed.
no.
And at the time, we knew it was also just completely transparent of what they were trying to do, and they tried to wrap it up in some like happy dappy stuff like we're all fucking idiots. And I know that there's something that it had that same hint that I read this week that Meta is now has made an announcement to its employees that it is no like employees are no longer have their own desks. They are they're desk sharing. They have to essentially like my company where you have to make a reservation for a desk. You sign up for the desk before you arrive, and that's your desk for the day, and then you have to clean up everything and leave, and that's because we were condensing since people aren't in the office anymore. We didn't need 2 fucking full floors of desks that were empty 90% of the time, 99% of the time. So, but Facebook is doing the same thing. Meta is doing the same thing. But they made the announcement to their employees saying, we're starting a whole new experiment to improve your quality of life. And we're going to make it so easy for you. And all the employees like, it's insulting. It's insulting that you framed it like that. Just say it. You're cutting costs. That's fine. We're with you, but don't treat us like we're children. And it's the same thing that Zuckerberg did with Meta. Don't try and tell us that Meta is a whole new name because you're going in a new, it's like you're bigger than Facebook now. No, you changed your name because the Facebook name was dirt after you appeared in front of the congressional committee. And that whole like metaverse tweet that he did a couple of weeks ago, and I think it's really Mark Zuckerberg. He is so tone deaf to human beings. He doesn't function in society anymore. He is evolved, but not in a good way. That he no longer understands us. He thinks that people are stupid, and that's ultimately what it comes down to. Is I think that Mark Zuckerberg has always been a bit of a megalomaniac.
I saw the Social Network.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah, he's a bit of a sociopath, I think. And now his sociopathic tendencies are coming out because he cannot understand people. So,
Anyways,
and
is,
AC Ray
point
says
is,
the main application of VR is porn, and it's a little better than POV vids. I will take your word for that, AC Ray.
yeah, the point is the Vive is still too expensive. Oculus is damaged goods. So I'm looking forward to a VR headset that's like a nice middle ground. One's too hot, one's too cold. I want my perfect porch.
And here's something that I don't understand is why there aren't more companies jumping in on this, because it is a wide fucking all you have to make is something good that isn't connected to something evil. There's
Because
so many reasons why we don't want to be involved in the 3 options that we have.
because making a VR headset is fucking expensive.
Making a VR headset
It's
is fucking expensive.
holy shit hard to make one that is ergonomically comfortable, that works well, and that's affordable.
The only companies that could afford to do it aren't going to do it, even though it's just printing money at this point, simply because they don't need to, because they have so much money in the bank. Why would they waste it on doing VR?
The fact is, I think it's genuinely surprising that Sony is investing in PSVR 2. Valve has enough money, they can afford to dick around with VR and put something out. Facebook has enough money and like Mark's weird vision of the future. So of course they're going to use all their money to dick around. Sony, like we said, they repurposed old Wii imitation hardware to make a VR headset that did pretty good, that actually took off. But I'm surprised to see that they didn't just take their win and walk away, and that they're actually doubling down to try to win again. They're actually going for that middle ground. I don't think that's something that a lot of other companies would do.
Right. AC Wraith just posted, and you might have heard me laughing in the background. He posted a link to an article that's titled, "Who Put the Elf with No Friends in Charge of Human Connection? Elon
Oh,
Musk versus Mark Zuckerberg, Epic Rap Battles of History."
okay. Edie, do you want to like lose an evening? Epic
Yeah.
Rap Battles of
Oh, yeah.
History is a fantastic YouTube
It
channel.
is. It is.
Oh,
I
it's
I
so
really,
good.
really watching it. Love watching it. They do such a good job.
They really do.
Let's see. It's just a bar from the battle. Oh, okay. So if I play that video, it's not gonna like get me like in trouble with
I
like.
think he's quoting the lyrics.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Who put the
VR.
elf with no friends in charge of human connection? Yeah, I could see that. So yeah,
So yeah, VR is hard. VR is
VR
hard.
VR is hard.
It's expensive to make, and it's also honestly like a tiny market that most people don't give a shit about.
True. I'm I look back at the early stages of VR, which was like, I don't know if I call it like the earliest in like direction towards VR would have been Google Glass. And Google put so much money into Google Glass and failed so miserably. I'm really, really surprised they haven't jumped in on this. Because
They
Google
learned
might be the
they learned their
company that we
lesson
might trust enough. Like Google's at the point where it's like they already know enough about me. They already know everything about me. Fucking just take it.
because they realized it's not worth it. The truth is that the only real useful application of VR is video games. Like all the other fancy things about people like making art in it, like, oh, you can put on a headset and like tour a studio and architect, like those are all genuine things, but they're all very niche. And you also don't need a VR, you don't need an expensive VR headset for that. You can use a relatively cheapo off the shelf thing for that. Um, Other than porn and video games, like no one wants to take a big old thing, put it over their face, and lose themselves in another world for X number of hours.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so that's why I think it makes sense that Sony would do it. As much as I'm surprised that they doubled down, a video game company making a video game peripheral makes sense. Meta trying to turn a VR headset into the next social thing, that's going to go the way of Google Glass because people don't want it. People don't care.
Yeah. Yep. Oh,
As your health thing says, until they can get Sword Art Online in it, which no, that's even worse. We don't want that future. That's a terrible future.
yeah, that is a terrible future.
I don't want to get trapped in a virtual world.
There's moments. There's moments I think to myself,
Do you want to play in a virtual world, or do you want to get trapped there where if you die in the game, you die in real life?
Yeah,
Do
like-
you want to get trapped in the Matrix?
that's true. All right, my next item is, let's see, the other big kind of announcey event that happened was the Call of Duty Next. Bunch of not that many announcements, really only 3 big ones. First one is we'll get the kind of the biggest ones out. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Spec Ops is back. Dolphin Dives is back. A bunch of other stuff is back. It's going to be returning for Modern Warfare 2. Like before, it's going to have 2-player co-op experiences. You're going to be able to explore enemy-infested hot zones and complete objectives against an enemy that the devs aren't revealing just yet. The modes are going to be available at launch on October 28th. So October 28th is when Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 launches. You're going to be able to swim, mantle, and hang off ledges. Previous ways of moving around like tack sprinting are back as well. But they've been refined and improved according to Activision. It's going to have raids. which is kind of cool. There are going to be 3-player co-op experiences that sound very similar to the raids in Destiny. And Infinity Ward didn't say much about this this new mode during the event, and it won't be released until after the game launches in October. So that's a kind of sort of coming soon moment. Let's see, the third-person online matches and playlists are coming back to this reboot, and some larger modes are also going to now support AI players. Charlie Intel reports that when you kill an AI player in Invasion, the game makes it clear you took out a bot and not a real player, which is kind of nice. Also, the beta is open. It's open now. The beta is open. Started on September 16th. It went live for PlayStation players who pre-ordered it, or had access to a pre-release code. September 18th, which is what, tomorrow? No, today. Today it became an open beta for all PS4 and PS5 players. So if you want to try it out, it's open beta right now. It's going to open up to more players and more platforms on September 22nd, and then it's going to go completely open to everyone on September 24th. The beta features a 6x6, 6 versus 6 mode, and most players and most players expected that. It is also going to include a 32 versus 32 ground war mode. So it's all 3 there. So there's 4 maps in it. Ground war and both ground war and invasion, which is like a large scale deathmatch, and 3 for the other modes. Yeah, it's coming to PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. And then after that, on October 28th is when it comes out for those. October 16th for other platforms. So, yeah, there was that. Then there was also an announcement for, actually, put this up here. The next other big kind of notable thing is Modern Warfare 2 is coming to Steam. It's been 5 years since a Call of Duty has been on Steam, because they have been essentially limiting it since 2017 to limiting all Call of Duties to Battle.net. So now they said that they are coming back to Steam, and that all games from the franchise are going to be on Steam. I think that has something to do with the Xbox acquisition. And of course, as soon as that happened, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 shot up the Steam top sellers list immediately.
Really?
Yeah, I think people prefer Steam. It makes sense. If I had a choice of a game buying it on Steam or buying it on Battle.net, I would buy it on Steam, because that's where all of my PC games are.
I get
It's in
that,
one
but like
place.
Modern Warfare 2, really? Oh, is it the new Modern Warfare 2 or the old Modern Warfare 2?
What? It is a reboot and it's going to be a new Modern Warfare 2.
Okay, so the new one went up for pre-order on Steam, and that's what sold a lot.
Yes.
Okay, I was like, why are people buying this decade-old game?
Yes, it's the new one that we're talking about, that they're
Okay,
bringing it all back and they're refreshing it, and
that
that's
makes
kind of
more
a big
sense.
thing. Yeah. Then the last thing that they mentioned in the event was Call of Duty Warzone 2. That is going to be a free-to-play battle royale. It's going to launch on November 16th
Yeah.
this year.
Speaking of products that were a Frankenstein hodgepodge of other technology now getting built from the ground up to be something different,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Call of Duty
Yeah.
Warzone 2.
Yep. They're calling it Warzone 2.0. It's going to launch with an entirely new map called Al Mazrah, and it's a large desert that contains some big cities for players to fight in and explore. So yeah, it's also in this one, vehicles are going to run out of gas, and you can shoot out their tires, which you couldn't do in the previous one. So that's a thing
cool.
coming. It is an Activision published game. It is free to play. So you know what that means. It's going to be very hefty microtransactions pay to win.
I mean, you can look at Call of Duty Warzone, and I'm sure they're going to follow the same model that they've been following.
Yep. So yeah, there we go. Thank you for that. IGN's a list of all available maps, games, modes, and rewards for Warzone. No, that's Modern Warfare 2. So yeah, that was the other big news event that happened. I'm still not going to play it. I'm more interested in it because it's bringing back all the co-op. I mean, of all of the Call of Duties, I liked more Modern Warfare 2 the best.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'm going to go back.
Fingers crossed that within the next 5 years, Battlefield gets its shit together and puts out a fun game.
I think it will.
That's what I'm waiting for.
I think it will. Now that everybody's back in the office and, we're okay with, the new world order of COVID, living with COVID, I think that it's going to be okay.
What's not going to be okay is the people reporting on whatever that new game is, because there have been a lot of layoffs at some video game companies, journalism companies. So the first was the new G4 TV. This was like earlier this year. I think they announced that they were starting up again, and
I said it was doomed.
But like just a couple weeks, the layoffs come at a weird time, because in the past couple weeks they announced a whole new slate of shows, and then they were hit with all these layoffs, and it feels weird. It's clearly this was like a change in management.
Which was what killed Tech TV before it became G4 TV, was a change in management.
Yeah, the Kotaku article says that the finances were in bad shape for a while. And a couple months ago, the president, Russell Aarons, talked about how they're with the financial troubles. He proposed some unrealistic revenue goals for the coming year for G4. He then left and was replaced by a Comcast executive called Joe Marsh, who was apparently only interested in finding ways to cut the budget, because he cut everything.
Widget salesman.
Because like you reboot G4 TV, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't even give it a year to get off the ground before you pull the legs out from under it.
Right.
Because weirdly enough, they didn't fire everybody. But there's a quote of someone saying, like, I don't know how we're going to produce the things that we said we would with the current staff.
Mm-hmm.
It's just physically impossible.
Yeah. Widget salesman is exactly what that is. It's the come in and you're not an enthusiast. Only one widget salesman I know that has done a good job. And I mean, as in being successful. And that's Bobby Kotick. Every other widget salesman drives it into the ground.
He's driven it into the ground. He just happened to find a nail that's infinitely long. He wants to drive it into the ground. He has been trying to drive Call of Duty into the ground for the past 20 years, but he keeps hitting that nail. It's like,
it won't go down.
I keep hitting it, and people keep buying it.
He's turned that company around from bleak utter failure to a mega company.
Yes.
And that I'm never going to not give him credit for that. I think he's a reprehensible human being, and he doesn't give a fuck about games. He does not give a fuck about games. He is a widget salesman. He's going to sell whatever company, no matter what you're doing, I will make it profitable for you. And he's very, very, very good at that. He's the only CEO that I know that is good at it. Every other, especially when it comes to entertainment, every other person with that mindset of just like, I'm going to come in and it's going to be profitable. Yeah, no. If you're only focusing on the profits and not taking it as a artistic endeavor that needs to evolve and grow, you're never going to be successful. You cannot make formulas for television. They'd like to, but they can't.
In addition to G4
not for
TV,
cable TV, you know, not for like the deep cables.
in addition to G4 TV, Fanbyte, which is what was a very popular gaming website that was owned by Tencent, was basically gutted almost completely. And they did it
That's interesting.
in the worst way possible. They
Really?
didn't gather everyone together in a single meeting and say, "Hey, you're all fired." They did it individually over the course of several hours.
Oh, so you had the like what was it? What was that movie that oh god, what's his name? George Clooney was in, where he played he was a guy that would fly around the country, and he
Up
would
in the
up in the air, where he's professional. All that was his job, to go into companies and fire people
Yeah, and this was it. So
individually, one by one.
that led, a lot of moments of like, "Oh shit, I just saw a bunch of tweets that 10 of my coworkers have been let go."
And I just got a notification
Well,
that my boss wants to see me in his office.
yeah. Or even worse, you didn't. Well, then it's like, well, am I okay? Or am I going to get one in the next 30 minutes?
You're right.
And so you just wait.
It's
But
like
yeah,
the French Revolution, where it's like, am I gonna get executed, or are they gonna come? Are they just busy getting my neighbor and gonna come for me next?
so it's really unclear what the future of Fanbyte will look like. It's probably nothing because they laid off most of the staff. But yeah,
Is there any indication why? Any notification why?
So I know that in the last year, Tencent, it's the last quarter was its first ever decline in revenue, and Tencent laid off about 5% of its workforce.
Oh, okay.
And so the speculation is that maybe this is a continuation of that, but it still feels like, a little site like Fanbyte doesn't seem like it would impact the larger bottom line to that
Drop
degree.
in the bucket compared to the bottom line of Tencent.
Yeah.
Interesting. Speaking of Tencent, since we're talking about it in a roundabout way, Phil Spencer was talking earlier this week to CNBC. He had an interview, and he was asked if Microsoft intends to, now that they're in the middle of this Activision acquisition nightmare that probably is going to go on for a really long time before it gets settled. And it's like, they asked him, "Hey, are you going to keep acquiring things, or are you kind of got your hands full with this Activision thing?" And Phil Spencer said, quote, "This is such a competitive market. I don't think we get to press pause on anything. Tencent is the largest gaming company on the planet today, and they continue to heavily invest in gaming content and game creators. Sony is a larger business than we are in gaming today, and they continue to invest. When you look at the investments that we've made, it's a highly, highly competitive market. We strive to be a major player here. We want to deliver great content to our players, and we're going to remain active, whether that's investing in our internal teams that are already building great games that we know and love, or whether it's building new partnerships."
I know that I'm in the minority here, and I've always have been, and that people love Phil Spencer, but god damn it, that motherfucker is going to drag us with a smile and a happy face playing a little flute into like gaming monopoly, right? It's going to be Xbox with nothing else. He's like, "Fuck you, we own everything," and we're just going to all fight. He's going to play his little flute, and we're going to follow him like the Pied Piper. "Ooh, Phil Spencer, yay, we like you. You're nice. You're a good CEO." Meanwhile, he's like, "Hey, we're going to buy up everything and fuck you."
That's right. It's like, just go through the door, and the other side is a meat grinder making sausages out of people. It's made of people.
But yeah, but I care about the artistry of video games. We're gonna buy all of these companies and continue to make really great video games that for a year and then we're going to shutter them and close them because that's what we do.
Yeah.
Eh, The past several months, every time fucking Phil Spencer talks, I get the image of the Pied Piper and the flute, and everyone just like, yay, monopolies, yay for Xbox and Microsoft owning everything. And it's like, God damn it.
The same feeling that I used to get with when Sergey Brin would come on and be like, you can give your information to Google. It's right there in our like statement. Don't be evil. We're not evil. It's like,
Mhm.
yeah, you aren't today, but you will be sometime. And then they drop the don't be evil. It's like,
Yeah.
knew it. I knew it when you were saying it.
I tell you, there is going to be a heavy, heavy reckoning with like the games industry and Xbox when Phil Spencer leaves. When
They're
he
going to have a hard
leaves
time replacing him.
and is replaced by anyone else, who knows? We saw what happened the last time that happened. The last time that happened,
Who did we get? Who did we get?
we got the duck.
Fuck you. You don't like the being always on. If you don't like the Kinect, go fuck off. That's who you got.
Phil Spencer is like offering the same vision, just with a smile and like, hey,
he's the new Steve Ballmer. The question is, who's going to be the next?
Like with Microsoft, Don Matrick wanted to force people into this like always online DRM future. Phil Spencer's like, we're going to provide enough services that you come onto our DRM infested future willingly, and you love it.
Don Matrick wanted to use a stick.
Yeah.
And Phil Spencer uses honey. We just want to be told we're pretty.
It's still not a good future. It's the don't take the honey. Don't take the honey.
We just
it's bad
want to be
honey.
told we're pretty and important.
It's poison honey.
We're just doing it for love.
You know what that honey's made out of? Bee shit.
People.
Game Pass is people.
It's made of people. Also,
anyways,
by the
that's
way,
my rant.
And it's a good rant. Also, there was other, kind of news about that acquisition that the UK watchdog group, Competition and Market Authority, said last Thursday that its investigation into the Microsoft Activision acquisition has been officially expanded into a more in-depth second phase. So it did not pass the smell test for the easy pass, and now it is going to have to go a little bit deeper. Of course, Sony, thrilled with that news, claiming that Microsoft controlling games like Call of Duty, quote, would have major negative implications for gamers and the future of the gaming industry. Not that Sony wouldn't have bought it if they could. Not that Sony wouldn't do exactly the same thing if given the opportunity. That argument coming from Sony is a little bit and I think that that's why it is so difficult to not be on Phil Spencer's side, because Sony saying shit like that when they say it would have major negative implications for gamers in the future. And it's like, Sony, you don't care about gamers in the gaming industry. It's major negative implications for Sony.
The problem is that like
they're the wrong people to be delivering that message.
Yeah, like they're delivering the right message, but like you said, we know they would do the same thing if they could.
Absolutely.
That's the thing. It's the right message from the wrong person.
Yeah.
Anyways, now that I have had my turn to like shit all over Phil Spencer and Xbox, let's talk about a cool new thing that they added that I think is really neat.
Okay, let's talk about that.
So Xbox on PC now has partnered with the website How Long to Beat to basically display that How Long to Beat information on
what a great idea.
A game page. Yeah, right.
That's a no-brainer. That's like, why didn't they do this years ago? Of course they should do that.
And I've seen some criticism from some developers and other journalists of like, oh, this plays into like the hours equal value, which is not always the case. It's like, oh, short games can be fun, like, that whole controversy. But even taking that, I think it's really cool to be able to look at something and go, this is a
Yeah.
bite-sized game. This is a medium-sized game. This is a game that will consume your life.
I make those same decisions about television.
Mm-hmm.
Is it an hour? Is it a 2-hour show? Is it a 1-hour show? Is it a half-hour show? I'm not going to start a 1-hour show at 12:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
I'm going to go a half hour. Absolutely.
I mean, even when you're looking to start a new show and you're like, oh, how many seasons is it? Is it a 3-season show or is it a 6-season show?
Right. That's why a lot of people don't get into K-dramas, because you get into a K-drama, it is a fucking commitment.
Those fucking episodes are like an hour and a half.
They're an hour and a half, and there's usually 22 or 25 of them. So
That's why I have
it's a huge
gotten
time sink.
so
And
many.
I'm not gonna lie, not all of it is, action packed. They tend to be stories that are drawn out just a wee bit, and you kind of got to know that that's what's going to happen to make it go for the 30 episodes.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one of the reasons why people don't get into it. And it's the same thing why, you need to know what you're going to get yourself into before you do it. So it's a genius idea, and I don't know why it wasn't done before.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. I am all for this. So you know what? Let's all join. Let's follow Phil Spencer if you're going to tell me the hour
Right
count
off
of
the
games.
cliff. Lemmings. We are lemmings.
Look, he plays that flute so well.
He does. He really, really, really does. Let's see. What else do I have? Do I have anything else? I did talk about Nintendo Direct. Let's see. I talked about Nintendo Direct. I talked about GTA. We talked about Call of Duty.
I will say, AC
That's all.
Race
Did I
said,
really get all of it?
AC
Yeah.
Race in the chat says, I'll do a marathon of shorter shows that last longer than a movie. There's something
Yes.
about being able to stop in smaller increments that makes me happy, even if I don't do it. I totally understand you.
There is a reason, like Kevin would say this to me all the time. We should watch this movie. I don't want to watch a movie. Why not? It's 2 hours. I don't want to watch a movie. Yeah, but you'll watch 2 episodes of a 1-hour show. You'll watch 3 episodes of a 1-hour show binging it. Why wouldn't you watch a 90-minute movie? It's like, because there's no break, there's no escape hatch in the middle of the show. And it's true.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a movie. And this is coming from somebody who used to do movie reviews for San Francisco Examiner. I haven't been to a movie, or I haven't done a movie review in probably I haven't been to a movie. I haven't watched a movie, even on Netflix. Haven't watched a movie for probably 8 or 9 years.
There's a lot of good movies.
I know, but they're movies. I don't want to watch a movie. It's
what
like
you-
being held hostage for 90 minutes, as opposed to, just visiting. The door's open. You can leave anytime.
Someone in the chat mentioned Knives Out. You should start with that movie. Knives Out, a ton of fun. You won't notice the time go by.
Not gonna watch a movie.
There
are a ton of movies I would really, really, really like to see, but it's just
here's what you should do. Start the movie, and then start a timer on your phone for an hour. And then when that timer runs out, pause the movie and ask, do I want to keep watching?
Nope. Just not interested. Nick, don't fix it if it ain't broke. I don't want to watch movies.
God damn it. Watching
good television from everywhere around the world.
But some movies are just better.
Enjoy. More for you, I guess. Everything.
I still haven't seen everything everywhere all at once. I need to see that movie. I wanted to watch it in theaters, but I never got a chance, and I keep forgetting to get it on demand.
Watch that movie, seriously.
We'll watch it together, and we'll review it next week.
No, you're not gonna. You're not gonna bait me out like that. You are no Phil Spencer. That is not very good flute playing. You will not lead me off the cliff that way.
Hmm.
It's so good. AC Ray says it's so good. You should watch it.
I will watch it this week. That's a promise I make to you.
Yep. All right. Good. Enjoy. I don't think I have any more items. Let me see. I talked about Call of Duty. I talked about
Okay, I've got a
Modern
couple
Warfare.
more.
I talked about Nintendo Direct. I talked about Switch. Yeah, it's all you now.
So,
Bring it home, Nick. Bring it home.
in 2 days, on September 20th, Deathloop is going to come out to Game Pass. If you remember, that was one of the games when Xbox bought Bethesda. There were 2 games that Bethesda had made that had a year exclusivity on
Did you just
PlayStation.
add a? Yeah, you did. You just did that to me.
What?
There's no.
Oh, did I
banner
not
for
put that in there? Okay, I
No.
thought I did. The other stories I have banners for.
All right.
Anyways,
I'll give you a pass.
uh,
A
yeah.
Game Pass.
So one of oh my god, that's a terrible pun. Yeah, 2 of the exclusives were Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo. They were exclusive to PlayStation for a year. On September 20th, that year will have passed, and so
Mhm.
Deathloop will be coming to Xbox and specifically Game Pass
On
on
September 20th?
September 20th.
Exactly 1 year.
And
Exactly 1 year.
and you know what? I recommend people play it. I
Okay.
thought the story was a little meh, but like mechanically, that game is really freaking cool.
Good. All right. Excellent.
Yeah. In addition to that,
Mm-hmm.
Ubisoft has said, and this was in an interview with Eurogamer,
Mm-hmm.
that the Assassin's Creed games going forward are going to lose the modern day story. That basically what Assassin's Creed Infinity is supposed to be, right? Like that weird meta
Like the
game.
jump off point, the hub for all things
Yeah,
Assassin's
the
Creed.
hub. That is kind of going to be the hub of modern day storytelling from now on. And that the individual games will be more focused on the historical stuff.
Oh, so like the individual games will be like trips into the what do they call it? I'm calling
The
it
Animus.
Oculus, the Animus. I want to
Mhm.
call it Oculus. Into the Animus. Like each and then oh.
Yeah. So a lot of
Interesting.
it's interesting to break them up like that. I get the purpose of it.
Well, it's putting a whole new frame on the idea of a game or even a series, in that you have a series that is the hub, and then all of the offshoots of it that all connect to the hub
Yeah,
individually.
that's one of the things he had
It's a
said.
wheel and with spokes as opposed to a line with dots.
In the interview, he said, we were in a situation where no one's happy with it, in the sense that, and he's talking about the modern day story. The people who love it never got enough, and the people who didn't like it always had too much. And so this kind of gives you a chance to, hey, when they're separated like this, if you just want the historical story, just buy that game and play it. If you want the modern day stuff, Infinity will be there, has kind of the hub that connects all these things with the larger meta story.
Vice says here, he says, the floof is stealing all the show. Incidentally, if you're listening on the podcast, Shepard has jumped up into Nick's lap, and of course, he is sacked out on Nick's shoulder like a baby. Hi, Shepard. You've got a lovely son, Nick.
Thank you.
AC Ray says, Kote, it's like you're the present day protagonist. You are exploring memories of the past for the purposes that will become clearer when we reveal the story. But the abstraction that we're using is not that of Desmond or that of Layla, but that of yourself. And you'll have to see exactly how we do that. Oh, okay, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like each of the games are your own individual trip into an animus, and that each of the games are the spokes and you are the hub of the wheel.
Mhm.
if they can pull this off, this may very well be a like groundbreaking moment in how video games series stories are told. Because I don't think there has never been anything that's even proposed this.
Well,
And
there's
I
been a
see
lot
their
of
vision. I just don't know if it'll be good. I mean, it's so new and untested that it to me says there's a million ways this could go wrong and very few that this could go right. But if it goes right, this is going to change the way video games are made.
there's been a lot of like attempts at transmedia storytelling, right? Like you have the games, and then you have some books that will explain some backstory, and then you have some comics, and then you've got like web stuff, and then you've got movies, and then you've got blah 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 and blah blah blah. A lot of that doesn't really work because you run into, I think, the Halo and Destiny situation, where in Destiny, the best the story in the Destiny games, or at least initially, sucked. But a lot of
Right.
people praised the writing of the Grimoire cards, which were collectibles that you could find throughout there that explained the backstory of the universe. And people were like, hey, the backstory and the history here is actually really good. But you only got it like online.
Right. I'm laughing and Nick is smiling because a goalie just came into the chat room that said controllers need to go back to one button. Viva Atari, he says. Viva Atari. Viva la revolution.
That's the future Microsoft wants.
Is one button.
Yeah, after Phil Spencer,
That's the monopoly that they're working towards. Is one button. They're
Look.
going to start removing the buttons
Once you
they've
get-
got the monopoly.
once you get to one company, all you need is one button.
It's true.
It's one everything. And you know what it's going to be called?
Xbox One.
Yeah. It's going to be the return of the Xbox One. That is Phil Spencer's evil plan. He's going to buy up all of the other game companies and then go, hey, guess what? The Xbox One is back and it's only got one button.
Okay, here's my theory. Phil Spencer is Don Matrick in a human suit. And he's now coming back a different way. And then when the monopoly is complete and there's no other company, then he's going to rip off his mask and it's going to be Don Matrick underneath. Told you, fuckers.
Yeah. In the one button Xbox One reveal, he's going to do the Mission Impossible style.
You're right. Not even Mission Impossible. That's a Scooby-Doo. He's really old man Crothers. Dave Gully says one button to rule them all. And AC Ray says some developers still try to do single button games, sometimes even without sticks.
And sometimes it works. Some
Yeah.
some games only need one button.
What game only needs one button?
I guess, are you counting
Baseball
swipes?
games, like a swinging, like a baseball game, where you're just standing there and
a baseball
swinging.
game, like one of those like Cannonball, the auto-scrolling platformers.
Okay.
Those only need one button. Like a lot of puzzle games, especially on smartphone, you swipe up and down, which
Monkey Island, you still needed to move around.
well, I guess
Blood Reaper says suggested Monkey Island, but there was only one
technically-
button you were pressing.
technically CK3 is a one button game. All you need is the left mouse button.
No, you don't. No, you can't play it with just the left mouse button. The right mouse button scrolls. The right mouse button allows you to use all the commands.
Okay, then maybe Civilization is a one button game. A little bit simpler.
Maybe.
Any point and click
It's
adventure.
too long since I played. Point and click adventure would be a one button. Absolutely. So like, yeah. The original LucasArts games, yeah, those are all one button. Yeah. He says no, it's two. Yep. So, yeah, I'm very now that more details are coming out about this Assassin's Creed Xfinity or Infinity. Xfinity, God, Comcast has me by the short curlies. Infinity. I'm getting more curious about this. I see possibilities. I also it could be like tying it back to Heavy Rain. If it's not executed well, I don't care how many novel ideas you come up with. If you do not execute, it's just bad. Blood Reaper says you guys are at 2 hours just to let you know. Oh, yeah, we should probably go then. All right. So
Okay,
anything else? Any other stories you have, Nick?
Yeah, I saw this one. This is just kind of a fun about face.
Perfect.
Ubisoft had a little news conference where they talked about NFTs, and they specifically said, like, hey, we're researching what people want. The basically they pretended that they didn't already try to execute an NFT store. They're like, oh yeah, we're researching about NFTs. We want to explore. We're not going to launch anything just yet. That
You
other
already
thing?
launched something, you assholes.
No. That was just us testing the
This is
waters.
testing the waters.
That was
Yeah.
that was research. That's what that was.
I didn't do it. You can't prove it.
Look,
God.
no one bought anything, so you can't prove it happened.
If an NFT falls in the woods with no one to hear, did it really happen?
If an NFT doesn't get sold,
It goes
did it
on.
ever exist?
Did it ever exist? Fuck. Oh my God.
So
I
it's funny, but it's also heartening to see like them fall in the face so bad that they're like, let's back away slowly.
right. Yes, this never happened. I was never here.
Hey Siri has a quote. Yves, I think we're a company that can be proud of itself.
Sort of. Oh yeah. I'm
Oh, he said that's an Onion article?
no.
No,
They like
no.
some moaning when you have sex.
Oh, okay.
Any other items before we close out the show?
There was a funny story this week about like, oh, a chess grandmaster cheated using anal beads.
Oh, yeah. No, that was a
I
false
Yeah,
news.
I read about that, and basically the gist is that like an underdog beat the chess grandmaster, and people are like, "Wow, what happened? What happened?" And over the course of time, online, people came up with the joke that
Like I just came up with a joke about how Phil Spencer is actually Don Matrick in a people
yeah,
suit.
yeah,
It was one of those kind of like, this is how he did it. He had anal beads in there and the signals of the anal beads. And because he had the essentially it's a 19-year-old guy who beat a like grandmaster champion that had won 7 times. And there's like it's he's one of the best chess players
yeah,
that's ever lived.
yeah.
The guy, the chess champion, the grandmaster, um, fucked up a couple of times real bad. And
That's what I
the
heard.
other
Is that
guy, the 19-year-old, took advantage of it.
yeah? From what I heard
But
about the
then
game, is that the grandmaster messed up, and then the other kid basically played him to like a standstill. Like, it wasn't like, oh, an overwhelming victory. It was like, I'm going to take this advantage and then just like little by little wring it out as much as I can until he like squeaks out a victory.
right, and
So
that's what he did,
yeah.
which is what a good player does. And when asked, the grandmaster, who's notoriously
Petty.
short-tempered and known to be petty, kind of made some kind of untoward comment that he thought that the 19-year-old had cheated, which started rumors, and the 19-year-old had many years previous said that he had cheated in online games, like online chess tournaments. But this was many, many years prior. He would never do it in person. And the guy, and what prompted the whole anal beads thing was that the 19-year-old said, if you think I'm cheating, I will happily play naked. I will play him again, and I will play him naked to prove that I did not cheat. And that started because he's using anal beads. That's how he cheated. That's why he's not afraid. And and then it just like took off.
Yeah. It's one of those stories that like, oh, I want to read this. Oh.
It's just
disappointing.
Yeah. So yeah, if you see anything about chess and anal beads, it didn't happen. It didn't happen. Thank you. The chess grandmaster anal bead conspiracy that's happening right now explained. Thank you. From Kotaku. Anyway. All right. So 8:30 tonight, Pacific time, you'll be beating Melania, won't you?
Yeah. First try.
Will. Yeah, first try. Absolutely. Yeah. You will solo her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I could do it.
All right. Yeah, and I'm going to be there watching because this is as close as I'm going to ever get to Elden Ring, ever. So I'm going to enjoy it. I will be there. Nick will be there. I hope you will be there. It's going to be on Twitch. Here is our Twitch. Where is it? I got to get to where my banners are. Here is our Twitch channel. If you are not on it, please go to that Twitch tonight. 8:30 tonight. We will be doing it. Also, as a reminder, our Discord is there. Please join us in our Discord. And I also want to say thank you to our patrons. Tor the Weege, Peter Camo, Eric Baker, Anonymous, Pissed, Andy H. Thank you so much for being our patrons. You can find out more information by going to patreon.com/GameHounds if you want to be a patron. Also, now that we are a Twitch affiliate, you can sign up for subscriptions and you could send us bits. That's a real thing now. So feel free if you ever want to chuck a bit our way, we're happy to have it. And if you ever want to subscribe, that's another way that you can help support this show. Our show, all of this is 100% listener funded. Nick and I are not going to ever get rich on this, but it is nice to be able to not have to reach fully deep into my pocket especially when things are broken. Like I've got a broken board right now, I've got to replace and stuff. I will happily buy those on my own. But if we can just pay for the subscriptions to the services that we have, we would be absolutely thrilled. Pay all of these patrons right down below, right here. They're the ones that are legends that help us pay for that. And if you would like to do that, once again, patreon.com/GameHounds. The other way to do it is through a subscribe or gift subs. You can give gift subs to your friends because that's a thing. And thank you so much, AC Wraith, for doing all of the links to everything. So we close this out?
Yeah.
All right. Let's close this out. You've been listening to GameHounds, episode 653. We recorded this on Sunday, September 18th, 2022. I've been Edie Sellers, and with me has been Nick DiNicola. Ways to get a hold of us: gamehounds.net is our website. Gamehounds@gmail.com is our email. We record this show live every Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, here on YouTube and on Twitch, and no longer on Facebook. So YouTube and Twitch. YouTube, it is GameHounds Vids, VIDS, all one words, GameHounds Vids. And Twitch, we are the GameHounds. We'd love to have you join us. We'd be thrilled. Thank you to everybody who did join us in the chat room. We had a ton of people here. We had, of course, Blood Reaper and AC Wraith were like clockwork here, and thank you so much for being that way. We had Chunderbox in here. We had Vice Ravana in here. We had Bitters and Datman and a ton of other people. If I didn't, of course, Chaos, Andrew Smith. Thank thank you so much. Dream was in here for a bit. Thank you so much for being here, and we appreciate it. Hope to see you next week. And if you listen to the show, if you can't listen to the show live, that's fine. We are a audio podcast as well. It is available on YouTube. On Twitch, on iHeartRadio, on Spotify, on pretty much every Google devices, Google Play, Alexa devices, all of it. Wherever you get a podcast, you can find us. It is under GameHounds Podcast. And it is me and Nick, and all 12 years of our show are all there. So I'd love to have you listen to that as well. If you are waiting for our show, I'm sorry, I'm late getting you the last 3 episodes. They're all coming at once. We're going to dump it all at once. So sorry, giving you 9 hours of stuff to listen to, but I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks so much. Have a great weekend, and have a great week. Be safe, take care of yourself, wash your hands, and if you're underwater, I'm sorry, so are we. Goodbye, everyone. All right, we are out, almost out. Stand by. Stop recording, save. Okay, this is going to be GH653 raw, and we are saved. Achieved. We're still live, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah. So thanks everyone for being here. Hope to see you later on at 8:30 tonight. I swear I'm gonna be for a little while. I have great faith in you, Nick. I believe. Are you limbered? Are you limbered up? Oh, look at that cat. Look at that cat.
Mm-hmm.
That cat is so freaking adorable right now.
He's quite content.
Yeah, it's his favorite place in the world. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for being here, and we will talk to you next week. Don't forget, if you have not hit the likes button or the subscribe button or whatever button is there, hit that button now before we close out. So, because it makes a huge difference for us. So please do that. See you, everyone. Have a great week. Bye.